Hey there, philosophers. I'm Anna.
And I'm Michael.
And today we are going to be exploring the world of time theory with one of my favorite films of all time, Arrival.
This is Philmosophy. We are rolling.
The object touched down 40 minutes ago.
Mama, what's going to happen?
I don't know.
Dr. Banks, you're at the top of everyone's list when it comes to translations. You hear any words?
Is that...
Yes.
Am I the only one having trouble saying aliens? Now that's a proper introduction.
So Michael, the other day, you asked me a question, and I want to ask our audience the same question. Does the past exist? Okay, it sounds like a super easy question, but genuinely, try to answer it. Pause the video if you have to and think about it. Does the past actually exist?
Maybe rewind the video and see if it's still there.
Right. Today we're going to be delving a little bit into time theory. Can you give us a quick overview of that?
So the question about the ontology of time. Does the past exist? Does the future exist? Does the present exist? There's views that correspond to that. The presentist view, presentism, says that only the present exists, and as soon as an event happens and flows into the past, it no longer exists. And you can make sense that the future doesn't yet exist on that view. This has a little bit of a troubling feeling about the past. You kind of want to maybe say the past exists. That's maybe why when we say things are true, they kind of connect to the past. Obviously, it doesn't exist now because it's the past. And then there's the block theory of time that says basically the entire timeline of history and the future all exist and are equally existing. So there really isn't a present moment that's more special along that timeline. Just it all exists. And then there's the growing block theory, and that's the view that the past exists, and as events occur in the present, new existing events or time slices come into being. And what's nice about that view is it gives space for what seem like free decisions and open possibilities of what would happen, and then choices get made, and then the history is written in a sense. Those are some of the broad strokes of what we can do with time. Think about time.
Time theory is so mind-bending to me, but it's fascinating, and it does seem like it touches on things that we really care about. What exists, and then even the idea of free will or things like that you kind of brought up. And I guess with that, let's see what Arrival might have to kind of unlock some of this stuff, and hop right in to a couple scenes.
Let's do it.
How you feeling?
I need some sleep, but I'm fine.
Yeah. I was doing some reading about this idea that if you immerse yourself into a foreign language, that you can actually rewire your brain.
The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. The theory that it's the theory that the language you speak determines how you think, and
Yeah, it affects how you see everything. It was. I'm curious. Are you dreaming in their language?
I mean, I've had a few dreams, but I don't think that makes me unfit to do this job.
Yes. I love this movie. And also, as a side note, I recreated this audio scene for my audio class back in film school. I'll have to play a clip of it. You can tell me if you think I found Amy Adams' doppelganger or not.
I mean, I've had a few dreams, but I don't think that makes me unfit to do this job.
One of the things I love about Arrival is that it is totally kind of a time travel movie, but not like other time travel movies, because it's not just hopping in a time machine. It's literally that the language that she's learning is altering her ability to interact with like reality itself. So she's not like dreaming in their language in the sense that you might like have a dream with some Spanish in it after a super intense semester of Spanish classes or something like that. The influence of their language is actually giving her the ability to interact with time kind of in a non-linear way. I guess, what do you think that it's saying about time and like her access to it and like what's real, I guess, within time, even that she can go back and forth like this?
Yeah, it's the language is all structured in this circular way.
Yeah.
And her capacity, or her growing capacity to access her future experiences, or to have this sort of connection, whether it's her cognitive ability, like you said, she's not going in a time machine, but her mind is sort of expanded to know things. That seems to say something about the reality of the future. That in that case, it's obviously it sort of takes for granted that she's existing presently, but that she's sort of able to connect with these future events, and that there's a reality to them. And that does seem to kind of have a block kind of view of time, because it's really there. She's not waiting, she's not waiting for the future to happen for her to make that choice to then send a message back to her. She's somehow connecting to it now. But I don't know what to do with the circular imagery they give. Maybe that is a clue to what they're saying, or I'm not sure.
I think the language was designed by their production designers, so maybe that's the less less philosophical part of it. I mean, it's cool. And she actually does have a line that says something to the effect of,
Oh, I'm not so sure I believe in beginnings and endings.
and in my mind, that could be a reference to the circularity of the language, or reality is not linear, or something like that. But it also maybe could be referencing like this idea of block that has like it's all there. It's all existing simultaneously, the present and the future and the past. But so in that sense, there isn't a beginning and an ending. It's just a thing that exists that we're interfacing with. And she's able to interface with more than we can, because we can only interface with present. At least I can.
We haven't learned that language yet. So.
Oh, dang.
It does make me think that if there's this sort of forward and backwards communication, and it's sort of if it was like a living conversation, which seems to be a little bit of what the aliens might be doing here. They're coming from the future. They're sort of seeding information into the past through this language. If there's sort of this living interaction, it's not just accessing, who's going to win the World Series in the future, but future self, or somehow send that message back or forward, then you do kind of have this unclear, this potential kind of loop experience in a way. The privileged present sense of things happening now and being set in stone now is kind of is wide open in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd wondered at different times if like what we were seeing was actually like some sort of visions of the future or visions of the past. But this next scene in particular makes me really think that this is more pointing to an idea of all time, past, present, future, existing at the same time in a way that it can be actually lived. And I think it will be helpful to take a look at this scene and think about that.
All right, let's shut down the system.
Sir? There's a sat line here dialing China.
Here? What do you mean, here?
Come on, come on.
Whose phone is it?
It's your phone, sir.
Takes out his pocket, but dial China.
Search base camp now. Find out who's using that phone. You hold on to those coordinates.
Yes, sir.
Search all of base camp now.
That's what you get for leaving your phone around.
What did I say?
I will never forget what you said.
What? You say?
You told me my wife's dying words.
Xiaojun,
我在美国营地。君君，您夫人给我托梦了。
妻子的意愿，你应凭智用出
他说
来。
你应凭智。
Found the source of the phone call. It's in the clean room. Waiting for instructions.
智慧列车，过光路。
You are committing an act of treason.
Yes.
Drop it!
She like kind of waits to see if he's gonna say anything else in her ear in the future, I think.
谢谢。谢谢。
Why is this movie so good?
Why is it so intense and
It's so beautiful.
beautiful and high stakes, like a phone number given in trust,
Whoa.
evidence of the future?
Are we talking about Arrival or when we started dating?
Why can't it be both?
So interestingly, originally this scene was not intercut. They had the interaction with the Chinese general, I think. Then they just play out what Louise does, basically. So they kind of just tell us what she's going to do and then watch her do it. But the editor kind of made the strategic choice to intercut them, which I think it was kind of meant to highlight like a lot of what's happening at this point in the film with the interplay between the future and the past, and the fact that they really are kind of going on at the same time. Enough that, like I said, there's that moment at the end when her past self making the call is waiting just to see if her future self hears anything else. And then he steps away in the future, the general, and she's like, okay, I'm done. And that's it.
She got the whole message.
She got the whole message.
Yeah, cinematically, you get that sense that she's in the scene with the general. It's not treated like this insignificant. This is sort of this moment of receiving data. You know, where maybe just looking over her shoulder or hearing a whisper or just seeing her point of view. But we see her interact, look in his eyes, be confused, wonder about, kind of make a choice probably. I remember all the nuances there, but there's a sense that she's an agent in the future, present to the moment she's experiencing. And somehow that's linking to the same kind of very real sense of her agent-like experience in the normal cinema present, the default present.
Yeah. Yeah, and kudos again to the filmmakers because they really helped to bring this home by like almost match cuts, but like match cutting her expressions. The action feels like continuous when we're cutting between. I mean, that's just amazing editing right there. But
yeah, great point.
But okay, there's one more piece of this whole thing that I do want to kind of touch on a little more. Let's dive into our last section about free will.
You all right?
Despite knowing the journey and where it leads, I embrace it. And I welcome every moment of it. You. Oh. H-A-N-N-A-H. Now backward H. A-N-N-A-H. Hannah.
You ready, babe? All right. See ya.
Daddy.
You okay?
He's gonna roll over you.
All right, you ready? Oh, guess what? Star stuff.
Ian,
Yeah.
if you could see your whole life from start to finish, would you change things?
Maybe I'd say what I feel more often. I don't know. You know, I've had my head tilted up to the stars for as long as I can remember. You know what surprised me the most? It wasn't meeting them. It was meeting you.
I forgot how good it felt to be held by you.
You want to make a baby?
Yes. Yeah.
Why is this such a tearjerker every time?
It's so beautiful. Oh, there, you had pointed out. I remember her comment. She says, How did she say? I forgot how good it was
Felt to be held by you.
felt to be held by you, and she's saying that prior to them really being in a relationship. So it's like she's somehow remembering a future event. As she kind of enters into it. Maybe they're taking steps to connect, embrace for the first time, and she's sort of somehow recalling what will develop later in their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I first saw this, I felt like there was something really beautiful and something really heroic in how she kind of chose a really painful path because she thought it was beautiful, like, and that love was worth having, even if it meant it would lead to her also greatest sorrow. And she asks him that really, really powerful question, which is like, if you could see your life from the beginning to the end all at the same time or something, would you change things? And he kind of seems like he thinks he would. I mean, he would say what he felt more often, which prompts this. But it's interesting because it definitely gives the impression that she has the choice to choose. That she's able to say, this is what I want, or this is not what I want, and move toward it. I think what complicates that is that we saw, like, her flash forwards just match up with what she chooses to do. So we're kind of like, did she get to choose? Didn't she get to choose?
Yeah, I don't know if this makes sense, but it seems, is there a sense in which she sort of is almost living out her choices, like, all at once in a way, or we kind of see her kind of accessing her knowledge or experience kind of all at once, and that kind of overlaps with the scene where she remembers the future, them embracing, but like, is there sort of choices that get made across the board in some way, or a lived life all at once. Certainly doesn't seem like our experience, but it does suggest something like that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
I stumbled across a really interesting interview with the screenwriter, and he kind of talks with the interviewer about the book, the short story that this whole film is based off of. And that in the short story, Louise really doesn't have a choice. Like, she doesn't really have free will to choose anything other than what is kind of already foreseen or something like that, which is very block theory. But the screenwriter himself, though, he couldn't like live with that. He said, even if free will is an illusion in real life, like, I have to have that. And so he really tried to write it in a way that kind of gave Louise the option to choose. And I think that's very interesting. I mean, we really care about free will. We have a sense of that, but also we have kind of a natural feeling that we do have free will, that I think contributes to how we feel about these like theories of time and the different like ontological aspects of time. So I don't know. What's the verdict?
Let's see. It does seem to take the events of future and present, I guess, as real and accessible. So presence matters, but the ontology seems to be very flexible and different than we experience. So I think maybe it's something like a block theory in some way.
Maybe generously like a growing block, if we say she does have free will.
Maybe the block isn't growing linearly, but it's just sort of growing vertically. She grows in her self-awareness across all times simultaneously.
Oh my gosh.
Not sure. That would be a brand new view. a new view that's just made its arrival.
Wow. Well, that's our assessment. If some of the things that we've been talking about today really pique your interest, or you just like to understand them even better, or you'd really like to understand them,
Fair.
Feel free to check out the description. I'm going to post some links to videos that were really helpful to me when I was trying to wrap my brain around this. But feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Is it this presentism or block theory, growing block theory, or what do you think? We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if there's any philosophy in film that has always intrigued you that you would love to hear more about or to delve deeper into, also let us know in the comments. We'd love your suggestions. So this has been a blast, and we'll see you in the next one.